Record. All right, welcome everyone. Today we're going to go through one of the best things to really think about in your house, which is either upgrading the kitchen or refreshing. And sometimes there's a fine line that we're going to be hitting between what, for example, you're thinking about storage space, you're thinking about the things that you hate about your kitchen, and then also you're thinking about, sometimes it's the money, sometimes it's just the concept of it and how long of a project do you really want to go through. So today we're going to try to break it down as best as possible. And I do have a couple, I don't know, we have like 9 people on here, and I'm not always going to be looking at the group chat. So one of the best ways to help me, if at any time, if you have a question, raise your hand, type it in the comments, or if there's something that I didn't clarify or go over. And because you are here, we also have a couple free gifts you would like to that we would like to give you, and let's get started. All right, see buttons. That is the wrong button. Okay, so a little bit about me once again is share screen. All right. So a little bit about us, right? So once again, we're talking about the upgrade or the kitchen refresh. So this is my team that we have, and then we also have some other team members that are on the screen, here participating. So my name is Justin. I am the founder and CEO, like I'm technically the CEO, but I am the founder's son, DJ Bakken, and my wife and I run XtraMile Construction. My dad, who's over here, is kind of like a Jedi. You know he exists, you know he's involved, but to what degree, it varies from project to project. But basically, Jenna, me, and my project manager, Will, we are the ones that run and get the company working. And then a lot of the design stuff is actually between a combination from Jenna and I, and then our different partners that we also have. So a little bit about myself. I actually did not want to be in the construction trade. I ran from it. I grew up doing this stuff. I really hated the culture. I really did not like, I don't know. I just didn't like, a lot of the people I worked with were pretty rough around the edges. And I was just like, oh my gosh, I want to hang out with people who have like, that have teeth because they did so much chew or whatever. But, so so back in when I got married 11 years ago, we went to Guatemala for a 3-month honeymoon. We ended up traveling about a month and a half, and then we ended up working with kids who lived in high-risk situations. And so for about 7 years, we traveled back and forth. I was self-employed working in the summers, and then we'd go down there during the winters. And then eventually, after spending like 20 grand a year and like trying to do stuff down there, we realized that we were not building something that was sustainable, because it was like I wasn't building a business. I had a job that I worked for myself, that worked for other contractors, or different situations. So back in 2016 when we came back, I partnered with my dad and then took over in 2018, and then Jenna joined me shortly after full time. So any questions? We're doing good. Everyone doing good? All right, we're gonna keep going. So before we get into some of the details of this, I actually wanted to do one thing. And I see that Kona's here. What's up, guys? Hello, hello. I did want to go through just a couple things, and something that I don't think a lot of people realize is sometimes it's really not about, for example, like, is Justin a really great kitchen expert and stuff like that? I have experience. I've done over 100 kitchen projects and I'm at like 400 projects by myself. But that doesn't qualify someone. What qualifies someone is the results of something, right? Because I've had people like, oh, I've been doing this for 25 years. We're the best in the business and whatever. But it really is about the connection, right? So I'm gonna get this out of the way. One, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm literally just, I don't need anything. It's just like, if we can help you move from one point of the project to another, or give you some ideas, concepts, that's what we're really here for. The other one is if there's you need a connection. So for example, Kona's here, they do cabinetry, right? And if you need a connection, we're here to connect you. One of the things that we love to do is that we just love to connect good people with good people. Because at the end of the day, I'm not the one living in the house, and you're the one who's going to have the experience. So if it's with a general contractor like me, or if you're going to directly to somebody, you want to find someone that is a living human being that isn't like, we have so many people that are robots in our industry, and we're trying to eliminate that and bring the human back as best as possible. And but really quick, I wanted to share one thing as well. We do have a couple couple things that we are doing, just so that you are aware. We are going to be doing, we're calling these workshops, right? So we're going to be doing workshops literally, I think it's every 10 days or so. And they're going to be about different things, right? And a lot of it's like just getting the conversation going. I think there's so many companies, and I grew up like this, where there's like secret sauces and stuff where people wouldn't want to, share their trade partners or secrets. I'm done with that. The internet's here, where the information's all around. So what we're trying to do is just help educate people where they're at. And one of the ways that we've done that is if you go on our website, right? One is that you can always find the workshop that's next available here, and then you can, ask your question, whatnot, write us an email, but you can find us on the Eventbrite page. And then lastly is the recordings. So the recordings, depending on what we do, we have a couple recordings that we're doing. So one's like for additions, another one is for like bathrooms. We have one, we have some other ones that we're coming out with, but every week we're going to be putting out some more content. And the other thing is, if you're a trade partner and you want to have a spot or ask questions and things like that, we're going to be having an electrician on here soon. We have flooring guys. So we have a lot of people that will be starting to create this, just trying to help and educate people, right? And so one other thing is, you can get access to our recordings, and for right now they're free. They will eventually, like, they won't be free because it costs us money to put it up and all this stuff. But so right now, I think we have 3 recordings. Am I right, Jason? I don't know, something like that. And then you can find it also on YouTube, but it'll be underneath like you have to have access to get it. All right, everyone following me? Everyone doing good? Great. Okay, let's continue on. And when I'm sharing my screen, I can't really see you. So, just smile so I know you're there. Okay, so let's get more into the kitchen stuff. Buttons. There it is. All right, we're gonna zoom through some of this initial things, but so a couple things like between the refresh and the kitchen, right? And I know I have a couple other professionals here, and feel free to chime in at any time. So when I'm coming into a kitchen and I'm looking at a space, I'm looking at a house, the first couple things I'm looking at are the non-negotiables in the space. So for example, if it's a Rambler, I'm typically looking like, all right, is it a concrete floor? Do they have a basement below? What are some of the things that are stopping? Are there windows stopping us from moving around? Is there, are there stairs that are going up, and I have like a galley kitchen on one side where the stairs are going downstairs or something like that? So one of the things I'm looking at is the layout and being able to maximize the layout. The other one is the age of the home, right? We have houses that we work that are 150 years old to, 3-4 years old. So that's one of the things is knowing where that customer's at in the lifetime of that home. And then the other part is, are the homeowners already looking for the appliances, whatnot? And then, we have the enhanced function and style. So when we're looking at, if we're going to do a new kitchen design, I'm typically looking at something that we call a snake bit. So when I say snake bit, it's something that, for example, you can't just put a color to it, new cabinet. I mean, like new cabinet fronts, or just paint the kitchen as it is. This is something that there's major, there's a like structural issue of water that's gone underneath the dishwasher, and we got to tear it out anyways. We're talking about, there's just a functionality thing where you open up the fridge and it hits a cabinet, or every time someone opens up the range, you can't work behind it. So that's kind of what I'm looking at when I'm first looking at if I'm looking at the option for a new kitchen design. And we're going to get into the storage here a little bit. And the other part is if it's a refresh. So for example, if it's not like soup, the house is I don't know, like a golden oak house, and they have cabinets that were custom built for the house. You can get different doors on there and stuff like that. Like there's a whole part of that. But if you're looking at the kitchen refresh, before you look at just the money aspect of it, you want to look at it. If I'm going to be here in another 5-10 years, what is the overall feel, and what am I looking to have in my kitchen? So for example, if you're having a refresh on the kitchen, right? You can refresh your and I'll have examples here, but you can like do different color layout or whatever, and door types. You can do new doors on there and then keep the old frames. But then what you can do is then you like can change out your island if you have an island, or you can do a part that's separate from the kitchen, add some cabinetry, like a wet bar, dry bar, or something like that, breakfast nook. Anyways, so the other couple things that obviously really easy is the surface refresh. So you can get like the lighting, paint, all that stuff. Let's continue on, because this is all pretty standard. All right. So obviously the pros and cons. If you're doing a new kitchen design, we're gonna go through actually a couple projects that we've done. You got to make sure that the layout that you're getting is like it's a one-shot situation, right? So a lot of our kitchens that we work on take months to really dive down and create something, because we're doing something that's custom. It isn't, we're not just doing some prefabricated thing from Home Depot and we're like placing 36-inch cabinets everywhere. We're looking at the custom layout for the maximum return on your time and your connection with your family. That's our number one goal, is that when you invite someone to your house, you're getting, wow, this feels like home, or wow, like we're gonna have a big party. I have a giant island. What how do I want that night to go, right? So that's kind of what I'm looking for before I look at the return on the investment of like the value of the home, or even just the enhanced functionalities with all the cool stuff. Is that I'm looking for, am I creating a feeling in the house that wants to bring a family together? So next part is cons, obviously, expenses, right? We'll go over some of the money stuff later here, but it ends up being a lot more expensive, not just because of the cabinets themselves, but because of what it entails. Typically, it's because of electricals moving, the floorings being redone. You're also sometimes moving windows, if that. And then another big part is with the new kitchen layout. Typically, you're adjusting to new appliances, which your appliance package is a part of that. Another con is that the timeline, which is probably the biggest thing that we have a struggle with expressing to the homeowners, is like, hey, it might be a part of your house, but when you're in the kitchen, when you're doing the kitchen itself, you're really affecting the whole house, because every heart of a house is the kitchen typically. And so, you're not the functionality of washing dishes, having to eat out, stuff like that. We try to minimize it, but it depends on each household, right? And of course, one more time, is the construction itself and the inconvenience of having people in and out of your house. And it depends, like some people work from home and we have to shut down the power for a little bit. And then they're like, just trying to, you just have like over about 27 trades that are trying to work together. Okay, so the pros of the refresh, if you're not familiar, is one, of course, it's more budget friendly. It's faster to complete and a lot less. You're not destroying everything. And then the easy aesthetic upgrades. So for example, like now that I'm a homeowner, one phrase that comes out and sticks with me is do one thing in your house a year. So if it's going to be flooring, trim, upgrade one thing in your house a year, because a lot of times, if someone's done that for the last 10 years, by the time they're ready to do their kitchen, everything's already up to date enough that I don't have to do a total rebuild and build out throughout their main floor, because they're already making it to how they want. Are you guys sticking with me? Are we doing okay? I see the great legend DJ Bakken has joined. Look at that. Nice. What's up, Dad?
The big boss.
Hey.
All right. So, okay, everyone following me here? We're doing okay? Is this making sense? Can't see anyone, so I'm gonna just keep going, I guess. All right. So lastly, one of the things with the kitchen refresh that is one of those things that you're compromising is the limited change, right? Which is one of the biggest situations is the pantry, like your cabinets sucked before, and now you're putting on new doors, and now they're just new doors with sucky cabinets. But it's actually like I'm not totally, I mean, obviously we're more of a custom design, so I am already biased, but I will give you some good hope on the kitchen refresh stuff. And but one of it is that I really like about the kitchen refresh is the ways that you're able to, obviously you're having your layout and stuff like that, but sometimes with the refreshing it and the new kitchen countertops, and you're upgrading it to the best of your ability, a lot of times people have been in their house a long time. Anything that they do, they're just so grateful for. And any type of color change, anything, just something like, so it like if you're not spending, like if you're not looking to spend a lot of money in your house for a longer term investment, the kitchen refresh is like really quick. So like for example, if you're flipping houses or something like that, that's really good. Like it's something that you can do, it's productive, and it's simple, and you can move along pretty good. Or if it's something that you have smaller kids and you're like, this isn't my forever kitchen, I just need something that like I can bring people over and feel happy about. So there's different variations, and of course, everybody has their own stuff. Which I got hate mail about that the other day from a contractor who just does kitchen refreshes. So we'll go into that. Really quick, what about the kitchen cabinets, right? So there's a ton of words on here. I actually have like a little printout sheet for you. I'm kind of dyslexic, so I'm not really gonna read it. I'm gonna go from memory. So, but I do have Kona here, so I'm actually gonna kind of skip. If you guys, do you guys want to share a little bit?
Yeah, sure. So, maybe go back to the previous slide about like the differences between both. So Becca has a lot of um experience with both. She's been in front of a house, she's been in back of house. She's a master finisher and painter too. So,
Hmm.
she can kind of talk about some of those pros and cons of each too. If you want to go to the next slide, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
So go ahead.
So a big pro of doing a new kitchen as well, especially if it comes through our company, we actually have a pre-finished product standard.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Um, a con with doing a kitchen refresh, I've done refaces for years and years, and I actually led a team to do it in the most efficient way, how to get the most warranty out of it.
Yeah,
The biggest problem with a kitchen refresh is you also won't get a warranty on that paint or how you apply it, or
it's good.
um how it actually protects or covers. There are some people who kind of just blow through it, and there's a lot of things that just aren't to a standard that has a good quality control versus when you know it's coming. Not only that, you ding a door, it's depending on how it wears and tears and how long you're in the home. Do you care about that? Is that something that you're taking into effect? Maybe you're just selling the home. So in reality, the paint, the warranty, none of it really matters for you. But if it's something that you're going to have for 5, 10 years, we can at least have some sort of coverage and plan to when those things happen versus when you kind of do a kitchen refresh. It's like, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit about it.
Right, for sure. And a lot of times too, like we pride ourselves in the pre-finished product, even if a client wants a custom paint color. Um, just having that controlled environment, like industrial processes, flat line finishing, having the right products, working with a manufacturer that, or within your own entity to have the equipment for that off gassing as well too is super important. The hardness is important too. So
Yeah.
sometimes that pre-finished product, whether you want it custom painted, we always strive to get that hardness finish, especially that painted is so prevalent and stain is coming back, but we feel that the paint process, like Becca said too, you can skin a cat in multiple ways, right? There's more than one way to do it. But like painting doesn't necessarily have as much of a standard. So knowing the finisher, knowing what they, you know, set an expectation to get that hardness. Because I've had clients come in too and say, hey, my friend had done their kitchen 2 or 3 years ago, but her paint is starting to wear away like at her like handles from like the places that have a lot of use.
Yeah.
We always say that like the sink base and the trash can rollout is the most prominent used cabinet. So those places that are used all the time, those will take the most beating. So a lot of times getting that industrial controlled environment is super important. There's things that you can do on job sites for site finishing, although like we usually recommend that flat lining finishing. So
Yeah. No,
and
that's
then
awesome.
yeah,
Keep
with
going.
that refresh area too, it's kind of important to talk about, is it just the drawer fronts and the doors and the face frames? Are you wanting to do your glides and your hinges too? Do you want to move to soft close? So sometimes it's the functionality for people, sometimes it's the aesthetic. So there's stuff to consider for that. And like Becca said too, there's a very extensive, tedious, meticulous, but important process with refinishing. And sometimes that comes with a lot of labor. So sometimes when you see those bids for refacing that are a little bit, one is way up here, one is down here, sometimes the higher bids are just as much as replacement.
Yeah.
Because of the way people are finishing, taking care of that process, and making sure you have quality product sprayed and finished.
No, that
So
nails it right on the head with what I've experienced too.
Mhm.
Because I think the other thing is like there's this misconception of like, oh well, my cabinets are wood. I'm actually going to show later a little bit of a video on it because there's or not video, but where like this person has beautiful cabinets, right? Beautiful home in Maple Grove, $1 million+ home, and we refinished their cabinets. And before I even refinished them, I didn't even get the chance to really like go there and touch them, right? Like I just assumed
Yeah.
they're awesome, and they're like crazy, like a crazy veneer on it. As soon as the like paint went through, soaked up all their cabinets, and then it's bubbling, and then I mean. So I think there's a very big truth, that you're talking about, that the education has to become the education process and what you're applying to has to be talked about, right? It's so important. Yeah, go ahead.
a big portion of that as well is people have really great boxes and they just want to refinish the outside. Well, you get on site and find out that those boxes are Menards. They're not real wood. They're just kind of
Particle board, furniture board.
it looks like wood,
Yeah.
printed on type design.
Right.
That I have learned is not good to refinish because I've tried shellacs, I've tried lacquers, I've tried waterborns, and nothing will really stick to that unless you go all the way down and you almost grind that top off. But at that point, you're then getting different materials underneath, and it gives you a very uneven, unbalanced kind of finish when you want everything to look really nice. On top of homeowners will choose a waterborne paint because it keeps the smells down, because they get headaches because of the chemicals. Waterborne is definitely very nice for a product in home use. Absolutely is it much more chemically friendly.
Yeah.
But the thickness on it, the hardness of it, the scratchability, the durability is never going to be there. I've worked with 2 waterborne paints ever that have been almost as good as a lacquer base, and one of them you still need to use a part of a hardener for. So you're still kind of chemically altering it in a way for that hardness. On top of when you're in home and finishing, there are people who you have to get that primer coat on and then you have to sand it down and scuff it down to be able to then it. In a home setting, you're getting all of those powders, all of those extra bits and all of those pieces in the air where you're about to spray your solid coat
For
on.
sure.
And you have a lot more issues when it comes to dust, particles, cat hair, dog hair. There are so many people who want to refinish their cabinets and
so
then you
much
come in and
PTSD right
everything's
now.
covered in grease.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
it's really hard, especially when you can't keep a consistent in-home basis as well,
Mhm. Yeah,
because everybody wears and tears their kitchen differently, and
for
nobody
sure.
thinks about the actual cleanness of them
Right.
to reface.
So
Yeah.
that controlled environment is so important, as well, I think she's trying to say too.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's cool. Really quick, to be completely and refinish cabinets and how it can be an absolute nightmare. But
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah,
but
people see that smaller price point and they think that it's going to give them the same quality a
yeah,
lot of times because they just want that number to go down. But in reality, like Alyssa was saying, you could also have a refacer that's going to give you a bare bones minimum, and then there's one that's going to give you an elevated price.
yeah,
I would like to believe the elevated price is for the
Quality.
knowledge, the quality,
Yeah.
the consistency, and the standard they have.
Yeah,
and I think one,
Ideally.
yeah, I
Right.
think one more point of it too that's pretty good to just remember is like the media pushes the painting of the cabinets so often, at least in our, like when I'm talking to a customer and they're like, oh, I'm watching this show, they're painting their cabinets. I'm like, well, that's like it's a show. It's
Mhm.
Yeah.
and they're making these crazy things and they're, I'm just like, you can't see it. And just like in any photos or stock images, right? It's
yeah,
to really tell from the something that's not real, you have to go and you got to really touch it and see, because with AI and all of my incredible editing, like there is such an incredible, I maybe would say, the illusion that can be presented, maybe.
Mhm.
And I think that's just a really important part. Really quick, Louis, can you send me the what is it called? The Canva thing so I can stay on track.
I also
So
want to say one more thing about
yeah,
refacing too.
for sure.
So some of that can be not even like necessarily refinishing the doors and door fronts and the face frames. Sometimes people will apply laminates or thermofoils over.
Mhm.
So that is kind of more of a like glue and adhesion like process and heat.
Yeah.
So people also have to put that in effect too, like, thermofoil is technically PVC. So,
Mm.
you also have to think about the quality of that wrap or reface you're getting to.
Yeah,
Very much like
absolutely.
Yeah, just kind of like a. But,
Yeah.
but like, yeah, educating the customer is super important because it's their decision and it's their process. And we want to back a great warranty with a great product.
Absolutely. And I think that kind of that also talks about, I'm gonna hit on it a little bit,
Okay.
is the variation and the expectation of the homeowner, because I don't fit everybody's box of contractor, right?
Yep.
And I think and you guys obviously like will see that a lot too. And I think that's one of the things is like, and it's okay that you're not made to match with everybody, but at the same point in time, like I'm not going anywhere. This is like I'm currently chained to my desk doing an event on Zoom, like they made me do this. I'm just joking. But let's go through a little bit further into, you know, some before and afters. Obviously, those are always really fun, but I kind of wanted to hit a little bit of the stories on why we ended up doing some of these types of projects that we did, and I'm gonna do my best to do it well. So, and at any time, guys, if I'm being repetitive or something, just let me know. So I need to make myself a host again. But really quick though, like Alyssa, you guys, like I super appreciate the impact, like the info, right? I think
Yeah, of course.
being able to speak openly about it without like, because I think so many people that have been in the industry, they've been in it for a while, and so what they do is they just pinpoint how much dislike they have towards something. And I think you guys came at it at a very like very responsible way. You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Like some of the guys that I work with, like as soon as they have like these trigger words and you cannot pull them off. They're like a dog. They're just like getting after like, oh, I hate this about, you know, like when I did an event, I had somebody on there I didn't know, and we were doing about additions, and I gave my opinion about like insulation or something like that. And
Yeah.
he just like boom, just a whole list of like, I'm like, dude, no one cares. Like, unless if it's your house and you're doing the addition, which he wasn't doing any. So,
Yeah.
all right. So really quick, this is one of my favorites. Actually, not really. I mean, I still love the kitchen. Super love the kitchen, but I actually love it because of the customer. So this was one of those conversations that we had, and this took a while to break it down because these guys, they have a cabin. They're in St. Michael. They've been in their house since it was a new build, and one of the struggles that they're having was just like, I don't know if I have a lot of the before photos, but they have like stuff everywhere. And they were just they have like 5 kids and they're busy, and all their kids were growing up. So the first time we talked to them, they were like, because they have they back then they did their cabinets at a high quality cabinet. It's all custom to them, and you know they felt like they put in a lot of time and effort finding these cabinets. And I think it just shows, you know, the industry, how things have changed, yes, but it also talks about the technology and the use of how much we're able to utilize the space. And so they were actually wanting to refinish my first couple times with them, and then I was like, guys, like, because they, as you can see, like we literally had to keep, because of the kitchen, we had to keep the dishwasher where it was, the range where it was, the fridge where it was, and they were, you know, they knew the extra approximate cost that was going into it. So, but at the end of the day, a lot of what Jenna and I were talking to them through, we just we couldn't reach where they were looking for the refacing of the kitchen. And now like we refinished like their whole first floor and stuff. Let's see here. We won't go into this one. This one's that one in Maple Grove, that we had some warranty issues. So we actually refinished this kitchen. I'm not going to go into this one. I want to go into, where are we at here? Sorry, guys, give me a second. Where is the Gleasons here? There's a lot of information on this that is really good, but I think I want to hit, I think we can talk about this. Okay. So one of the things I wanted to hit on is I don't see the Gleason project. Is it at the end, Louis? Must be.
A little bit far out in the end.
Yeah. I wanted to talk about that one because that one, if I was to redo that kitchen as much and beautiful
there.
as it is, I would have, this kitchen right here. This is a really good case study of what I wish we would have did different. And if you guys are watching this, my customers, I think we've already talked about this. So this is a beautiful home. This home is like it's just this is such a good example about what Kona team over there. Alyssa, what was the other person's name? Excuse me.
Rebecca.
Rebecca. Sorry, Rebecca.
You're
You're good.
perfect.
She's new.
Okay.
No worries.
All right. So this is one of the projects. So these guys, they moved from out of state. a beautiful home from out of state, and they moved into this awesome home in Maple Grove. It is just gorgeous. And so when they purchased the home, it was in their market, this is one of the most expensive homes in that neighborhood. And so when they got it, they're like, oh, like let's update the kitchen. We already spent a lot of money on our house. Let's update the kitchen. We're gonna redo the door, get new doors, and paint them. And this one, because I already did that other one in Maple Grove, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take my time on this, and like I'm gonna make sure that we do the walkthroughs, make sure everyone knows what they're getting. So we ended up doing because I gave them prices for the full kitchen. I don't have the drawing. It's right. So a couple things that happened with this project was like, so we did the drawings and we got like showed them what the new doors looked like, and then I kept pushing them like, hey guys, I really think with your guys' personalities and what you guys really see in the product and how particular you are, we should really go to a full kitchen, like just do a kitchenette itself. And I talked with them. I brought different professionals in, and they were adamant on refinishing the cabinets. They did it at their old place. And I was like, guys, I dropped it. And Jenna, how long did it take us to close the design on this? Just refinishing the cabinets. Do you remember?
I think just helping them and guiding them through the choices took like over 2 months because we couldn't get a choice made.
And
Sorry, Dustin.
That's right.
And what I do appreciate with what Kona was saying is that ultimately is the client's decision. What we did was we provided them with, here's what full new cabinets look like, and this is what refinishing could look like. And we did a really, really high-end refinish on boxes that were not the best quality boxes, but ultimately the amount of work that had to be put in was close to what it could have been to get new cabinets.
Right.
Exactly. And so what happened is I want you to pay attention to a couple things here. I hope this will let me zoom in. It doesn't let me zoom in. I'm gonna make this thing zoom in. Hold on a second. This is I went through so much pain on this that it's worth it. Okay. There you go. I want everyone to see this box right there. This where the oven thingy was.
Yep.
All right, everyone knows that. So our idea was like, oh, we'll put a hood vent, make this wider, give them a bigger range hood. We'll take this off, move this over. And I had my cabinet guy, and he's like incredible. I love him. And it was like he doesn't build full out kitchens, right? This is like his thing. And I'm like, yeah, Ben, like let's just do this, and this. He's like, oh yeah, we could do that. And then you're like, let's make this into a double oven. Oh yeah, we got this. You're like, you're all hyped up on the experience here. And
right.
Freaking, the photos are sick, right? It turned out like the colors, the photos, like you wouldn't know that this is the same kitchen with the refresh, right?
Right.
Until you go there. And I mean, I love this. This is one of my favorite colors, aesthetics, and my homeowners, like the final walkthrough of this, it took us about a month longer than it was supposed to.
Justin.
Yep.
Oh, sorry. Side note with this one. So we ended up working with 2 cabinet builders. Our first one who did some of the modification, and then we brought a second one who specializes in full custom remodels, and he does exquisite work, and he could do on-site work and make things how it needed to be, but he was a perfectionist. So the project was definitely, to us, it cost significantly more, and it was finished very, very well. Like end panels were added to everything. It was significantly more detailed and work than we had bid out, and I think that was a learning experience for us with now seeing how much work a refresh could actually entail, because we mostly do full custom.
Right. And when we did this refresh too, it was off of a high of somebody that we helped, that I actually have them in here that had a great experience. And one of the things though is like, I'm like with this project, one of the things that hurts probably the most for me is like I mean, thankfully, like the relationship that we have with them at the end and stuff like that, like we're all on communicative terms, and you know, like they gave, like we're like they're really happy with what they got, right? But I think because the one thing that was a part of this that Team Kona over there really nailed on the head was the fumes of it. This house is really large. It filled the whole, like we plasticked it off and did our best to really stop the dust. And they just had a newborn, and we were
And
like,
had an
oh,
air
and we
filtration
waited
system.
for the newborn to get a little bigger because we
Yeah.
knew it. And she's like, no, we're gonna be fine. And we're like, all right, like, and that was one of the things is like the boundaries that we have as contractors are actually there to protect the homeowner. A lot of people think it's just
Yes.
because it's an inconvenience.
Yep.
Oh, they don't want to start right now. It was like when we said no, it was really because we wanted to protect the relationship that we had with them because we knew that they had a particular taste. And if you guys were watching one more time, you know it's true. And so,
Rebecca has a question.
yes, please.
I actually was gonna add two pieces to that.
Yeah.
One, I don't know about your company, but the companies that I have refinished, refaced, and redone, not only do we have to tape off the whole area, floor, sometimes ceiling, depending, just really depending on how much is finished. Sometimes you get a fully demoed area and you can kind of just spray wherever. But most people are doing this in a home that they're functioning in and they want to turn it over in the next couple of days.
Yep.
We didn't warranty against the ceiling being applied wrong and the tape peeled off the ceiling. We
Yep.
didn't warranty, oh, a piece of the paint wasn't applied right also, so you ripped off side of the wall.
Yeah.
There are lots of things that also come into factor, not even just in the cabinetry itself when it comes to refacing as well.
Yeah.
And then the second one I was going to say as well, people don't realize when refacing, it looked like those cabinets were oak before. So then you had all of the end grain in it and you have all of that wood species coming through the paint. That's why you kind of have to cap up and cover all of those ends and all of those panels because the species of wood wouldn't look the same.
It's an open grain.
Yes.
Open grain versus
Yes.
closed grain. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mhm.
and that was gonna be whenever I talk to somebody, that's the first thing I talk about is like I'm like, hey, what do you guys notice about your kitchen right now? And as soon as they tell me wood grain, I'm like, oh, I guess we gotta go find you a cabinet maker because that's like one of the biggest things too is like even when you have new doors, right? Like if you were to open up these doors, you would see that wood grain. You know, and the like one thing too that people don't think about is the backs of these. Thankfully, their backs were like somewhat decent. But in a lot of kitchens that you do, you know, people do that refacing. They're like they there's just something about having that back on there. So when you're putting a plate in the back or you know something that isn't MDF that you know or like for my you know like sometimes it's for Micah or whatever. But yeah, let's keep going here. So here's one that the customer was really happy with. It was a great product. This was a refresh that I would do. This is the one that we did right before the one before, so we were all excited about it. We're like, oh, cool, the customer's super happy, and we were able to put that. And one of the differences though is this customer, they were just excited that we were there. The other one was already looking to expand their project. These guys, they just like she's lived in their house for so long, and that when we did this, I remember her like when we showed her like we unveiled it, she's like, oh my goodness, it's not my house or whatever. And beautiful, beautiful people. But something I wanted to mention though is like things like this, if you're watching this and you're trying to figure out your budget life and stuff like that, obviously a lot of what we're talking about are people that have been in their house for a while, they have equity in their house and they're putting it back into their home so that they can experience the family and stuff like that. Like a lot of my customers, they're all have an addiction to hosting. That is why we are here to help serve them to enhance that addiction and connection with their family so that they you know they love having people over. And Yeah, go
Justin,
ahead. Yes.
I thought for this one, this project, so this is the before, can you go back to the after?
Yeah.
So with this, we had an amazing conversation with our clients. There actually was a whole main level that we did, and we understood their budget. And always we work so hard to respect our clients' budgets and present to them what we can do within those budgets. There's something that they absolutely want. Obviously, we let them know it's this much more, so they're always aware. So in this case, it was at least like 1,300 square feet or more of the main level flooring that they wanted to redo, and they already had oak wood floor, but smaller oak pieces. And this, they fell in love with these really thick beautiful white oak from Thailand floors.
wow.
And there
Oh
was like
yeah.
no matter what we did to show them an alternative, like this is what we want, we're willing to negotiate in other areas so we get this gorgeous floor,
Totally
which
forgot
I'm
about
glad they
that.
did. So we put a significant amount of their budget into getting like these luxurious white oak floors that look amazing, and opened up their entire home and made it cohesive, the whole design. And then we went with their cabinets actually were nice boxes. There's a simple design, nice boxes. They were solid wood, and the actual doors and door fronts were all solid wood, which is a reason why we said, hey, let's move forward and let's go ahead and let's get these enamel, let's get them painted.
Mhm.
So we didn't do anything too fancy. We just made that interesting ledge thing on the island. We took it down so that they have a nice bigger island that they could see through. But this was a case where we're like, hey, this is a good idea to refinish your cabinets.
Yeah.
And then it just gave them a bigger, what's the word? A bigger wow factor
Yeah.
for what they wanted to invest.
That's really funny that I totally forgot, because this is like 2021, right? Or 2020. I can't remember.
Yeah.
And we waited for this floor for like 7 months. They had no floor. Like, it was so crazy. We were waiting for that floor for so long, and they were such kind troopers to
Listen, COVID was happening, so was stuck in
2020.
ship
And then,
guard thing for months.
yeah, Santa's workshop. Just,
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's see here. Let's go. I think we've landed pretty good, guys. I think Mariana says I want my kitchen remodel. Beautiful.
Me too.
I've been talking to, yeah, I was like, don't worry, Mariana, we're talking to Vinny right now. He's on the phone. We just got him. No, I think this is kind of the crazy thing though, is that at the end of the day, I think I just heard this the other day. And it's way too philosophical for probably this, but they said so many people think that these things are events, right? Oh, I want to get a new kitchen. You have the event like a birthday party, and boom, you're in a whole new house, or like, but really, it's a story of the journey that the homeowner's on, right? So each person I showed you, except for the blue kitchen there, they all lived in their house for a long time, and this was like a moment of celebrating all these years that they've had, and some of our customers, they've sold something, or they've been waiting for that to find somebody that a lot of times it's like they were just waiting to find someone that understood what they're trying to do, because they've
Yeah.
had people try to sell them stuff, right? And then we're like, no, let's help reveal what's inside, like, that you really want. And anyways, my point was is that I think for ourselves too, the people that work with the kitchen, thank you. The something important too before you work with somebody, right, is like they're on a journey of it. It isn't like so many people, like when I remember meeting with customers early on, and they're like, oh, you're doing like anti-sales because you're not trying to like get me into anything. Like, dude, at this point, like I've been up all night. I've worked, Sunday afternoon I remember how many times have we tried to make something before like November 26th or December 25th or before like some graduation party. Oh
Yep,
my God,
deadline.
man. Oh, and I used to just be like, oh yeah, we'll make it work. You know, I'm certain about this. And then I'm like like the product's great. We have photos of some of them, you know, it's cool, but like at the end of the day, like they've lived in it for so long. Like let's create, like obviously the process has to be good and the timelines for it have to be decent. Yeah. But at the end of the day, dude, like some of my customers, they are like the customer I'm helping right now off of the Mississippi, they will never move from that house ever. That is what we created that home for, is like they will this is the home that their kids are going to have grandkids and they're going to grow up coming to Christmas and all this stuff, you know. And so that's kind of just my perspective on it, is just a reminder of at the end of the day, like as cool and great as my ideas I think I have between a refresh and upgrade, it really is the journey of the homeowner, and like knowing the like learning to help to serve them well and create boundaries so that they can have a better experience throughout it, even if the timeline is a little bit tough, or you know what I mean. Does that make sense, guys? But anyways,
Yeah, it definitely does.
um
That's like one of the first things I ask too, and it's like my first 20 questions. You're on your first date, your first consultation with their client. Like one of the big questions is like, do you have a hard start and end date? Because people have their own personal lives, they're hosting, they're gonna be gone. Some people are like, I'm gonna be on vacation for 2 weeks. You will go ahead and
right.
do everything while I'm gone. Like ignorance is bliss at that point. So sometimes you like kind of set those standards about, how we can fit the mold into your family in this process.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I was just looking at we had some preset questions, right? And one of the other things I think that's important to really talk about too is uh what you were just mentioned, is the openness of the home while they're there. Because like since 2020, like before 2020, like we used to just like literally go in and out of houses like crazy. Like no one cared, man. Like it would be like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna be gone for 6 months. Just make sure you shut the garage door. And I mean, this is in the cities, and now it's like, oh, you need to zoom this in. You have a nest thing going on. You got to have the code. And then when they nest us, you have to, they see you on the screen. You have to tell them like XtraMile, you know what I mean? And then they don't. So anyways, my point is like, I think if I could give some just feedback too, and from our contractors, because a lot of it's our fault, because we've allowed people in our industry that aren't professionals that have ruined that relationship, because people are just so excited to hire anyone when they were getting their money kicked back.
Yeah.
But I think that's something too that goes along with the kitchen. If you're doing a full kitchen or even refinishing, is the accessibility of the home to you. Yeah, there's a privacy factor and things like that. I totally understand. But to us, it's like if I'm gonna have, it's terrible analogy, I'm gonna do it. But like if I'm gonna have like a doctor, right? Or like a freaking plumber, or like, you know what I mean? Like these people that are their work is essential to have a good experience and or survive. In reality, the kitchen model is in that, like the flow of it is important. You're dealing with gas, you're dealing with electric. There's a lot of safety things that are necessary. And when you're adding different boundaries of connection, which you think are protecting you, actually is adding one more thing for someone to stress about, that they, like a lot of times for us, the people that don't have a lot of free flowiness with, just give us a lockbox and stuff, we actually have more issues with trying to, I mean, and it's us and our expectations. I'm not saying it's the customer, but like now, if people won't do that, like it's a strong turnoff to not work with them, because I know, like, for example, like if there's an issue or if we hear something, sometimes, like this just recently happened. We had a gas leak underneath the floor, and we needed to like we've heard about it through a neighbor or whatever, and the customer's gone, and it was like we just need to get in the house. So there's reasons why we have these things.
Yeah.
And because their carbon dioxide thing was going off. But anyways, just some thoughts that I had. Well, like, because you put this together, you go through memory lane, and like, I
Yep.
wish I could have served these people better, but it was not because I didn't have the skill, but it was because I just didn't set up the expectation a lot of times. But all right, real quick, anyone else on here have any questions, comments, concerns that you wanna hit on? I do have to get going here to meet with a customer, but
I just want to say thank you to Alyssa and Rebecca for being on
heck
as
yeah.
well, and sharing your guys' expertise.
Of course, anytime.
Excited to share this with homeowners that are looking into the project so they can just watch and then learn from you guys as well. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no worries.
My biggest thing
yeah,
that homeowners are super surprised if they do choose to reface, because
Mhm.
I'm for both options. It really depends on what you use your kitchen for
Yep.
and what you're doing for all of your things respectfully. The
Yeah.
biggest thing that people don't think about is when they reface is the time of year. So if you're doing a kitchen in the winter, it's not so hard to convince somebody because of the paint and what the temperature they need to be above 70 degrees.
Mm,
In the
yeah, it's good.
summer, to try and convince somebody to bring their AC from about 65 up to about 75,
Right.
one, they're way less reluctant to change that to a place where they're comfortable versus like kind of a fight and a struggle to get them to understand like this is what we need for the product to go right.
Yeah.
On top of that energy bill as well. There are some people who just aren't aware of the fact that there are certain standards that you need for paint. You can't paint in anything under 69 degrees. So having that understanding and kind of being able to plan for that in your home and
Mhm.
maybe waiting 2 months makes sense. But having that information to know that your bill is going to go up because of what we need set in standard is really important to have people understand and know as well.
Yeah, it's super good. I saw someone put a question here from Rebecca's iPhone. Hi, Rebecca's iPhone. Does putting in new cabinets reduce the mess and dust rather than refinishing? Ooh, that's a good question. I have an answer, but I'm curious to see what Alyssa says and if I have a different opinion.
So it's still messy. We like to tell people refacing or replacing. It's like watching a sausage get made. It's so gross. Seriously.
Better
And
analogy than the doctor
most
and
people
plumber. That's
yeah,
good.
most people wanna go to the store, buy the sausage and just put it on the grill, you know? So both are icky. But with details, right? Refreshing or refacing, a lot of those products are gonna go back to a shop too. So they want to spray
Right.
them or they want to do prep work at their own establishment. So there's things that obviously like you can't remove in a reface, but there's things that they can take away and they're gone for a couple days just with their process that they have.
Yeah.
Obviously there's lots of products for like closing off areas. But at the end of the day, if you're replacing too, there's so many scopes, there's so many parts and pieces, that it's still really messy. But if you work with the correct people, the people that want to take care of you, that labor attached. So if you think about what you're paying for in your labor, you have to kind of understand and know what the price means. Because we can have different standards of how we install cabinets too. We have like a premium and a standard. Some of it is a little bit more like you can do the standard ones if there's not crown, if there's not a lot of molding work. But either way, we are vacuuming out and getting all of the dust out that we see at the job site that day. So that comes in a package. You get our design or you get our installation services. We are vacuuming out, we are cleaning up.
Yeah. No, that's what I was gonna say is that I think one of the like their language only does so much. Especially if you experience this thing for a little bit. But I think the language, for example, when I say kitchen remodel, what are you envisioning? You're envisioning my cool little corner kitchen, and you're like, oh, it's not connected to anything. But that's the issue with. I'm gonna answer your question right here with Rebecca. My perspective is, it depends on the scope of the
Yep.
kitchen and where does the kitchen end in adjacent to the house.
Yep.
Because that is like when people are like, when I tell them that there's 100,000, like most of our kitchens right now, they're above almost, a lot of them are at the 200s that we're doing. Is it the kitchen? No, it's because it touches the literal whole house.
Open concept, yeah. Yep.
Right. Then, and it's like, and even that is just making the adjustments that you need. So my
Oh my God.
what? Oh, I can't hear it. I don't know what it is, but it's all good, guys. Don't worry. So anyways, my answer to that, Rebecca, really goes down to two things. One is the scope of work, and does the kitchen hit the living room and other areas? Are you able to do a start clean, like what we try to do is I hate when you walk into a house and it looks like a remodel. Like I know it is a remodel every time I do it, but I want it to feel like a home that's been there, and has like a timeless sense. But it's really hard to do that when you have white cabinets over here and white trim, and you have like golden oak and brown carpet over here and like gray walls or gray and gray and white thing. So that'd be my answer to that. Is it depends on the scope of work. Typically the kitchen remodel will be more, will have the new cabinets will for sure have more mess and dust, in my opinion, because of the electrical and the plumbing and electrical aspects that you need, especially if you're moving anything. But one last thing, Louis, do you want to put the little, let me see here. I think I forgot to record the second part, which was definitely the best part of the whole dang meeting.
No, it's being recorded.
Oh, really? Okay, because on mine it says it isn't. So this is what we'll do, guys. I so appreciate everyone. Really quick, any other questions? Rebecca, did you feel like we answered your question pretty good? I know we used a lot of words without like a direct thing, but if we did, good. Mary Bakken. Cool. Do you have any questions for at all? I actually think she's probably out, but awesome. Well, guys, I so appreciate your time. Kona, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And we'll record this and I'm gonna put this on. We're doing, just to be honest, is like we're creating content so that we can help people be further along and to know that if we're a good fit or not before we meet with us. So, and we're trying to create that more of a like vulnerability and synergy with people, because I'm so sick of selling stuff. I'm like, I don't do it. I'm just like, if it's something that we can help you with, and I just don't like the culture, I'm just like, hey, if we're a good fit, we can help you, let's connect. If I'm not, I'm gonna pass you somewhere else. Sorry, fire alarm was going off. Torch the pizza. It was all good.
I love it.
Awesome. Well, guys, I appreciate your time so much. I do. I'm gonna run over to see. I gotta help someone with their things. And if you guys, I was gonna mention, if you have any subject that you want us to cover on this, I was telling Jenna it's probably gonna become like the XtraMile newsroom if no one like asks like, hey, specific questions. I'm just gonna give updates on what projects we've been doing and what things I messed up on, main learning lessons. But anyways, cool. I'm gonna head out. Appreciate you guys. So yeah, Louis, if we want to put the two videos together, and Kona, Alyssa, and oh, I see your face
Rebecca.
now. Rebecca,
You're fine. Don't even trust
sorry.
it.
Alyssa and Rebecca, thank you guys so much. Louis, Jason, Mariana, Mary, Rebecca's iPhone, and Jenna, thank you so much. And I'm excited to have Jenna teach one of these and go through it because she's far more knowledgeable and more incredible than I am with any design and things like that. So have a good day, guys.
You too.
You did awesome. Thank you. Bye.